If you're a fan of the reserve list, you are in the right place because this is the hottest selling cards on the reserve list this week, April 12th to the 20th of 2024. Now in today's video, we have a lot to discuss about what's going on in the secondary market for the reserve list, and we're also going to look at some epic sales of some amazing Magic the Gathering cards. Alright guys, welcome back. MTG Moxman here. Thanks again for hanging out with me on the channel today. We've gathered together to check out the reserve list this week in a top 10 video of the hottest selling cards. A reminder, if you enjoy the content, don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, you can always use my TCG Player affiliate link found in the description of this video for your shopping experience, and my channel gets a kickback, which lets me buy prizes. Now we're starting out with City of Shadows, and that is from the Dark. That's right, guys. This thing comes in with 30 sales this week, or $1,800 in sales volume. This card has an average price of around $60 US, and of course, if you don't know this card, let's go over the facts. This thing says, tap and sacrifice one of your creatures, but remove it from the game instead of placing it in your graveyard, and put a counter on the City of Shadows. Add X colorless mana to your mana pool, where X is the number of counters on the City of Shadows, which means you can sack your creatures, you can take control of your opponent's creatures and sack them. However you need to do it, you can find a way to make your City of Shadows an epic mana source. That's right, guys, it finds a home in Vintage, Legacy, Commander, and a lot of kitchen table Magic like the Moxman likes to play. So guys, keep this one into consideration. You can find cheap copies on TCG Player for around 30 bucks. Now, the number 9 card is Savannah from Revised. This card averages $320.99, and of course it had 35 sales this week for $11,234.65 of sales volume if this thing was near mint. And guess what? It wasn't. The amount of sales we saw this week indicate we have players looking for heavily played copies, which has been a running theme here on the channel for the last, 200 days. Players who want to get Savannah are looking, guys. They want to find the copies that are cheap and they can put into Commander decks, put into Vintage Legacy for players who are trying to get to those upper echelons of really hard to get Magic cards. And of course, dual lands are the stepping stone that helps get you there. But for the most part, I see people using this in Commander right now. That's what a lot of people in stores have told me. Players looking for individual dual lands. Now, this is the only dual land on the list this week, so keep that in mind. No other dual lands made the list. Let's go ahead and take a look at the number 8 card this week, and that is the Envil of Bo Garden. Can you believe it? This thing's back again. 38 sales this week, and that means a total sales volume of only $1,292. This thing is only $34 on average. It is a 2 casting cost generic artifact that says each player skips his or her discard phase. During each player's draw phase, that player draws an additional card and chooses and discards a card. We used to use this a lot with Library of Lengths. We could discard to the top of our library back in the day. There are lots of other things that stop you from discarding, but for the most part, players like to discard, because if you're using cards like this, you usually have a reason to put that card in your graveyard and have a little bit of fun. I know, I do it myself, can't help myself. It's just the way this card is designed. It looks like it was a negative back in the day, and now you recognize it for the positive it is. I get to get extra cards and pitch things I don't like. Amazing. Alright guys, let's jump in there. Let's get into this party and take a look at number 7. Alright guys, number 7 is Wheel of Fortune. This thing is back again. Now, you can see here the price has been rising, but we're seeing a pullback in the card's value. $332.85 when this thing used to be $200 and change just earlier in the year. The 41 sales represents $13,638.65. Now, here's the kicker for this card, just in case you were wondering. This one here is lightly played, near mint, and graded copies. So it looks like players are having a hard time, finding those heavily played or damaged copies. They just want to, sleeve it up and use it. So what's been happening is we have a litany of people buying on eBay, private groups, and they're hitting up the near mints, they're hitting up the light played. If they can find it, do some trading, but they're also buying graded copies. And thank you for the email about you cracking those 2 out of the BGS. They're BGS 9s. You cracked those cases, and now you've got a couple of copies you can play with. Congratulations. I know you were super epic happy to get it. All right, guys, let's keep this thing moving. Because you know what? The funny thing is, the number 6 card this week is something we have to discuss. This is Deranged Hermit. And I'm sorry about the beeping in the background during the video. I can't help it sometimes. I forget to lower the volume. 43 sales this week, or $2,985.49. But let's take a look here. Look at the price point. $69.43. Do you guys remember what this was about 90 days ago when it was $12 and I told people to buy it? And people didn't. Well, some of you listened, but not enough people listened. And now we're diving in there and this thing's close to $70 and people are still buying it. And it's still kind of going on an upward trend. We've seen a little pullback, but guys, be wary, be patient. This card will go back down. It will not stay up unless we get such a deluge of squirrels that it has to just never go down again. I think this card's still going to drop, so keep that in mind, okay? Let's go on here. Let's take a look at our next card because this is Psychic Vortex. It's back here again. It's not the number 1 card this week. It's not even number 2 or 3, but it comes in at number 5 with 54 sales. Still averaging $5. No major spikes after this. It's only $270 in value, guys. This is like pocket change for some people. Like, 50 copies? Less than $300? Yeah, I'll buy those because don't forget, that's if they're all near mint. A lot of cards from Weatherlight were not kept in near mint condition, so they're moderately played. And the copies selling are like $2-3. Sorry, that was a coffee break there to get the throat all slicked up for you guys to continue on the conversation. Now, don't forget that cards like this, though, the cumulative upkeep of draw a card and then discarding your hand, there are reasons to use cards like this. I wish it cost 1 less blue, but that doesn't stop players from trying janky combos to see if they can just make their Magic experience a little bit more fun. All right, guys, let's take a look at our number 4 card this week. Now, for number 4, this one has seen a lot of sales. This is the Leisure Holos. It was around that $3 mark a few weeks back, and now it's at $5.70. It's seen a little bit of an upward trend. 58 sales this week, or $330.60 in sales volume. Well, that's like awesome to think it's got 58 sales. Guys, really, that's nothing. 58 sales is pocket change, okay? It's what happens to a modern card like that we saw sales for when you saw the Vault Tyrant get like 1,900 sales yesterday, and this thing has 58. It looks like chump change. But here's the thing. Here's the kicker for you. If you're still watching the video here at number 4. Like Deranged Hermit, if we do get some crazy squirrels, if we get a squirrel god, if we get some squirrel nastiness or something that pumps up squirrels, you think this card's going to stay at $5.70? You think it's going to stay at 58 sales? Or do you think maybe it's going to go a few hundred sales? You think maybe it's going to hit the $20 level? I can't wait to see what Bloomborough and Modern Horizons 3 do, because that's crazy. All right, guys, let's check out our next card. Now, this was a bit of a surprise this week. This is Hall of Gemstones from Mirage, okay? 61 sales this week out of the blue, $2,837.07. During each player's upkeep, that player chooses a color. Until the end of that turn, each mana-producing land only produces mana of the chosen color. Okay, very interesting. 2 green, 1 generic. I've used this in a couple of decks before. I've never got it really going like some of my friends have, but at the same time, it's still a real mess-up card for people who are depending on a lot of colors or have counter spells or want to try some crazy stuff. This can be a great equalizer, so always consider cards like this. At least get 1 copy. $10.87 is next to nothing, but the amount of sales, and by the way, the sales are from only 3 sources by the look of it, and those 3 sources bought the majority of these copies. So it looks like a little speculation going on, so keep it in mind. Now, our next card threw me for a total loop. Didn't expect to see this revised card here, and this is Fork. Fork saw a massive surge of sales this week. All revised copies, everything from heavily damaged, light, and near mint, and even a couple of graded copies for 62 sales this week, or $2,400 in sales volume. Now, when I looked at the market price of $39.61, the average price is $60. You can see that the amount of volume here we see, the $2,400, is actually about right because some of the graded copies were higher, some of the damaged and moderately played and damaged copies and heavily played were all lower priced. It all kind of balanced out on this one, but the amount of sales is what I found really interesting because the players I know looking for Fork are always putting it into commander decks. And they're always trying to get at least 1 nice copy that they can hold on to. So this card's going to continue to see sales. I'm surprised we didn't get a Brain Geyser on the list this week, but still, it's a fascinating card because it copies everything, okay? Let's go ahead and take a look at our number 1 card. This is the last card today on the list, and it deserves a little recognition because it's like week 5 for this thing being here. This is Tombstone Stairwell from Mirage. We have a lot of Mirage cards on the list this week, I know. Now, this thing comes in with 67 sales, or $1,340. Yes, I know Soldevi Excavations did make the list. The army of Soldevi has been denied this week. But when we look at the card for 2 black and 2 generic Enchant World, with a cumulative upkeep of 1 black and 1 other, and all the zombies that can get made from all the creature cards, everyone's graveyards, it's a great card to have around. I can see why a lot of players are really diving into cards like this, and the price point of only $20. Compared to what we see nowadays, a lot of reserve list cards are starting to look very appetizing to a lot of players who are looking for them or looking for something different to play and something a little more exciting, a little bit saucy that they're not used to seeing at their average pod of Commander players. Now, do I see this thing being used in other formats? Yes, kitchen table. Yes, I've seen it in some Vintage and Legacy with my friends, but I really haven't seen this thing hit the mainstay of, like, you know, some godly card that's going to be $100. Let's get to the wrap up here, guys. Now, for regular viewers of my channel, you know that we've had a lot of higher increased sales on the reserve list the last several weeks. We've had a lot of cards like Dual Lands hitting the market space, and those sales really added up to some high generated sales volumes of cash flow in the reserve list. But right now, this week is definitely a pullback from what we've seen in the past, okay? No other dual lands are making the list. And although we had Savannah on there, there's no Taiga, no Underground Sea, Badlands, Tundra, Tropical Island, Volcanic. None of these things even came close to making the list this week. We also don't have heavy hitters like Gaia's Cradle or Mox Diamond hitting there. Volrosh Stronghold's not there. Lake of the Dead. All the cards, including Soldevi Excavations, just couldn't cut it, okay? There wasn't enough sales to get them there. And that means the cards we did see selling, they were not high value targets, okay? They're not things that are worth hundreds and hundreds of dollars. And although a lot of them are fun to play with, these are not the overpowered, super heavy, expensive reserve list cards that our players are used to seeing sell, or the cards that a lot of players talk about. It doesn't mean they can't be fun to play with. It doesn't mean it's not excellent to add some of these things to your collection. It just means these aren't the heavy hitting volume cards that we've come to expect to see sales on. So overall, when I added up all the sales volumes there, less than half of what they were last week, the overall total dollar sales. So I wanted to inform you guys, it looks like there's a lull, which means if this goes on for a few weeks, you might see a pullback in reserve list and you might see cards actually starting to drop. If you got some patience, you may be able to come out ahead and take a little bit of an advantage when we see a dip in the market. Thanks again for hanging out with me on the channel today. Don't forget to shop smart, shop S-Mart, and always bring a friend to Magic. I'll see you guys on my live stream, 6:30 Eastern Standard Time every Sunday. All right, guys, have a great one. Yeah, that's right. We're here at the end at the credits, and all I'm going to do is slurp some coffee. Wait a second. These are the patrons. Guys, these are the supporters of the channel who help make everything happen. Because of the patrons, we got daily uploaded content for everyone on YouTube to enjoy. So if you're a patron, a YouTube membership member, thanks again for supporting my channel, guys. I'll see you tomorrow with another video. All right, guys, what we got here? Welcome back to the Ramble Jamble. So we got about 50% of the sales, actually 47% of actual cash value compared to last week. All the big guys didn't really get hit very hard. Dual lands. Okay, you're here at the Ramble Jamble. I'm going to give you some stuff here. There's a lot of people looking for dual lands, guys. The wish list looks like, people looking for the card. Couple of hundred copies are being looked for, but the price points people want to buy them at, not going to be found anytime soon, so those things are not going to be fulfilled, which means the market's not meeting where the consumers want to pay the price. So you're going to see a real pullback on some of these cards until prices fall or until the market recalibrates and people are willing to crack open and pay some higher dollars. That includes things like Mox Diamond. The heavily played ones are still being sought after, but people don't want to pay any higher. There's a real market demand, but the price is just not meeting where customers want to buy the cards. A lot of stores are still not buying the cards. They don't want to purchase them for the, what people are hoping to get for them. People overvaluing collections when really it's only worth what somebody's willing to pay. That whole thing is going crazy right now. And then as an aside, just so you know, Thunder Junction sales are rising. I know we're on a reserve list video, but I found that interesting. A lot of stores might be reordering. If I get more information on that, I'll cover it in a video. Interesting. Guys, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for being here on the channel. And you know what? To all those people who help me out here on the channel, I just want to say I appreciate each and every one of you. Thanks again. I know it's been a few years of you putting up with me. You know who you are, who send me all this great stuff. So thanks again for being part of the team. All right, guys. Have a great one. We'll see you later.